Hi, my name is Lucine Usani, and I just wanted to speak a few moments today about the topic of overcoming obstacles or challenges. So, the way I come about this is from my perspective, my background is in conflict resolution. In conflict resolution, people use the phrase a lot that conflict is not a problem, it's an opportunity. And what that really means is when you have a conflict, you have a confrontation of two ways that exist. So this believes this believes this. To actually resolve it, you have to find a third way. So you create a new possibility that didn't already exist at the moment. And I guess in our own lives, that same thing is true when we're confronting our obstacles. And I use the phrase a lot in my own life and in my coaching of what's in the way is the way. And to me, what that expression means is that generally my take on obstacles in my life has been to avoid them or to resist them or to resent them. But in actuality, when I look at my obstacles and I look at those things that challenge me, they actually represent an opportunity to learn a lot about myself and also to have a new experience of myself by actually facing into them. So, what that requires, first and foremost, is the openness to looking at your obstacles from a perspective of curiosity rather than from a perspective of resistance or judgment or whatever that might be, which is hard in itself, I acknowledge. From my own perspective, one of my big obstacles at this moment is I've been wanting to create marketing materials and publicity and put myself out in the world to promote my coaching in a way that feels authentic to me rather than feeling like I'm copying other people or I'm just hiding behind not wanting to do it. So when I actually look at that, it gives me an opportunity to learn a lot about myself and what I'm resisting in terms of how I represent myself in the world, whether I feel like I can be my real self or whether I hide. It's given me a whole level of insight into what my obstacles are, bigger than just this issue. So I recommend in your own life, if you're looking at this at an obstacle that you want to overcome, start by choosing a reasonably small one, not the biggest obstacle in your life, and then just start by asking some questions. So the first question is, where else in my life does this show up? Because often when we have an issue in our life, especially one that we're avoiding, it shows up in multiple areas, and it makes a big difference of how we confront the obstacle. So for example, if I constantly show up late to my one yoga class, I might have some resistance with that particular yoga class. But if I look at my life and I'm actually late to everything, then we have to look at that obstacle differently. So once you see where else it shows up in your life, then the next question is, have I been able to resolve this in other areas of my life? Because often we might have an ongoing issue and we've been able to deal with it in one way. So that's a perfect solution or clue as to how we might spread that solution into this area. But chances are, if like me, you're confronting this issue because you've been resisting it, then you haven't successfully resolved it. So the next question is, have you found someone else? Have you seen someone else who's successfully resolved it? And I just want to be clear, this is not about copying other people or trying to take other people's solutions. It's actually about looking at what other people have done and seeing how you can apply that and make it really work for you. So for the example in my life, I use coaching. I have a marketing coach who makes suggestions to me about why don't you make a video on this or why don't you do things this way. And for me, my issue is not, I could make a million videos. My issue is actually about putting them out into the world and getting people to see them. So I have to take that solution that someone else has used and I have to sort of tweak it so that it works for me and my obstacle. And then the last thing is asking yourself, what's a reasonable, manageable step that I can take today? And that's just because often when we're looking at our obstacles, they often seem so overwhelming or so big or so daunting because we've been avoiding them for a while that it's hard to sort of imagine overcoming the whole thing. So we just look at steps. So what's the first step? Whether that's making a video in my case, or whether that's going to one yoga class and making sure that you're on time. And once we do that, we sort of set a precedent for ourselves so that the next step doesn't seem quite so daunting. And more than that, we just have a new experience for ourselves. And in that new experience, we get to not only learn a lot about ourselves, but we also get to see what else is possible. Thank you.